Hey people, Ethan here. This week on the channel, the topic is our thoughts on stealth and passing. So I guess I'll start off with some definitions. At least these are the definitions in my head. Um, so stealth is the idea of choosing to hide one's trans identity, and passing, I guess, is being perceived consistently either as male or as female. Um, These days I pass as male pretty easily. I guess 3.5 years of T and chest surgery have given me that privilege. Um, the privilege of being perceived by others the way I generally perceive myself. Um, and because the way I express my sense of masculinity falls in, I guess, the range society deems as appropriately male, I get the option of going stealth or of hiding my transness. And I'm not gonna lie, I exercise that option daily. Life is just easier when you can hide your transness. Like, life happens a lot smoother, things get done quicker, when people's assumptions about how the world works aren't challenged, like, head on, like, in their face. Um, but while I have these privileges, and they are privileges, I've got issues with the idea of stealth and passing because they imply a whole bunch of problems of how we view the world. Like, passing implies that we're faking it, and that our faking it is somehow working, that I pass as male, which implies that I'm not a real man, um, that somehow I'm inferior to the real thing. Um, Also, this assumes that there is such thing as a real man. Like, what is a real man? What is the criteria for that realness? Um, and that leads to a whole bunch of questions that I ask myself about what is masculinity, what is femininity, does it mean to be a man? Um, like, is it only biology? Is it only the way we behave in society? Is it only how other people perceive us? Like, a whole host of problems. Like, and then what is a good enough man? Like, yeah, it gets complicated. Stealth has its problems too. Stealth, I feel, asks us to disown our histories, to hide the fact that we are trans, or to hide our transness, I guess. And by doing that, I feel like it devalues, like, the trials and triumphs of my very human struggle with a sense of self, um, and my struggle with the world to perceive, um, the self as I want to conceptualize it or define it. Um, Through this, I guess, expectation to disown the past, stealth also has the nasty side effect of making me feel pathologized, like I'm hiding a disease or something. Um, so yeah, I'm not a huge fan of either of these concepts. Both these concepts also arise out of society's need to enforce categories, like you must be a real man or a real woman, um, and if you're not, it's best to hide all of your imperfections. Um, the problem with categories in general and enforcing them is that it devalues individuality and diversity. Um, so the pressure then is on, to be what others, I guess, assume us to be instead of being ourselves. Um, and we're trained by society to expect the world to match these categories. This is how we're taught to view the world. Um, like, everyone's heard the phrase that, don't assume or else you'll make an ass out of you and me. That catchy phrase. Um, but the problem is that we're always making assumptions about the world. That's just how our brain works, and how our mind works. Like, not just about gender, but about the physical world. Like, we assume gravity exists, and we assume that like time exists. Like, this is how we function. Um, so yeah, I make assumptions all the time. Hell, I even make assumptions about people's gender identity. Like, that these are like uncontrollable. Um, like, we can only control, I guess, how we act on these assumptions, and like apologize wholeheartedly when we make mistakes, right? Um, I mean, that's how we learn. That's how we grow. So yeah. So yeah, that's all my thoughts, I guess. Immediate thoughts on stealth and passing. Um, and I guess I'll stop beating you guys over the head with philosophy. But if you want to hear more about that, comment in the comment section, and we'll talk. I mean, I love philosophy. So I guess until next time, later.